Do you love great podcasts? Do you love great Australian podcasts? Of course you do. Australians make incredible podcasts. And if you want to stay up to date with the best Australian shows, then check out Oz Podcasts. Look for us on social media and find your new favourite show from the Australian podcast directory on ozpodcast.com.au. That's OZPODCASTS, ozpodcast.com.au. Check it out.
If you like new stuff before anybody else, if you like to keep your finger on the pulse, if you like the future and want to be in it, keep on listening because we'll start in a minute. Tech Webcast, the hosts and guests are unsurpassed. Tech Webcast, cause technology it moves so fast. Tech Webcast, ha, stick around and you're gonna have a blast. Yeah, Tech Webcast, ha, ha. Tech Webcast. Let's go.
Welcome to episode 312 of the Tech Webcast podcast, recorded on the 1st of November 2014. Tech Webcast is recorded every Saturday at midday Melbourne time. Please rate us on iTunes and like us at facebook.com Tech Webcast. Follow us on Twitter as Tech Webcast. Your hosts today are Andrew, Brad, Belinda, Steve, Jen, Jody, Jacob as the Demon. Well, Jody's not here today. And a guest is Fred Davis, entrepreneur.
Yes, indeed. Hello, Steve. How you been, mate? How's your week been?
Pretty
Happy
good.
Halloween,
I kind of missed the intro. My audio was messed up, so I was like, "Where's that stupid mute button?" Okay, there.
So, how's your week been, mate? How are you?
Pretty good. I set up the green screen, so we're getting kind of we're in the dungeon right now with some torches and so on. So yeah, we're spicing up the Tech Webcast.
All right, good stuff, mate. Good stuff. We've got Jacob Jones. Welcome, Jacob. Welcome back, mate. How are you?
I'm all right.
All right, good stuff, mate. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween to yourself.
What have you been up to for today, for the Halloween day?
Trying to gouge all the kids that we have coming in.
All right, cool. Who else got in here? We got Belinda on. Welcome, Belinda. Welcome back.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Welcome back. You're on here last week, so you want to come on today again, and we're back on. Good to have you on. We've got Andrew on, travelling back to Melbourne. Welcome, Andrew.
Hey, Brad. How you doing, buddy?
Good, mate. How's your week been?
Yeah, really good, actually. Been up in Queensland and Brisbane visiting family and so forth. So, as you said, I'm travelling, so I'm kind of in the show and out of the show.
Yeah,
today.
that's cool. That's cool. It's good to have your voice on.
Yeah, it's great to have Fred on. Fred Davis today. He's as you said, an entrepreneur and a real business leader out there in San Francisco, and fantastic to also have you back on, Belinda, again. We love having you on the show.
Hey, yeah, thanks a lot, Andrew. Travel safe.
Yeah, thanks, Belinda. It's really warm, actually. We're a couple hours out of Sydney, so we should be back in by tomorrow night. But it's been a great little getaway for us.
You going to stay in Sydney for the night, Andrew? Or?
Yeah, in Wollongong. Christy's got some friends in Wollongong, so we'll camp up there overnight and have some dinner with them and jump back on the road in the morning.
Oh, sweet. Sounds fun. Sounds fun, mate. We've got Jennifer back on. Welcome, Jennifer. How are you?
I am well. How are you?
I'm good. How's your week been?
It's been pretty good. I got some more gadgets to play with.
Cool.
And so that's always fun. Yeah. Finally got my hands on a new iPhone 6. Not mine, but I'll be keeping it for about a month. And it's a new headphones as well, the Motorola earbuds, which are really sweet. And
cool.
So, yeah, fun stuff.
I also got the iPad Air this week as well. iPad Air 2.
Oh.
Very nice.
Oh, I'm a little bit jealous.
And you got the iPhone 6. How do you like the iPhone 6, Jen?
I really like it a lot. The screen is a lot larger than the iPhone 5S, and it feels really good in my hand, and it's snappy and beautiful, and so I really like it so far. I've only had it for 2 days now, so and unfortunately I have to give it back in a month, but but we'll see. I think I'll probably upgrade in a few months and get a new one.
Oh yeah, cool. All right, we've got Fred Davis on. Welcome, Fred. How are you, mate?
Hey, I'm pretty good out here. We just had the San Francisco Giants World Series winner victory parade going on literally outside our door. So there's been a lot of cheering. When they won the other night, the horn honking and yelling didn't subside until like 2 a.m. You heard it all throughout the city. People were,
how exciting.
So it's funny.
Congratulations.
Yeah, no, it was really exciting. We watched all the games. It was a really evenly matched series, and the last one was a real nail biter. But hey, we won, and everybody around town is feeling good, which is good. We had 1 million people come in for the parade, which is great for the economy. And it's 2 yellow and blacks in one, because the Giants' colors are yellow and black, and Halloween is yellow and orange and black. So it's like the orange and black holiday today, where we've got like Giants and Halloween out with the same colors. And when I went out recently and took a little walk around the building, I'm across the street from Twitter and about a block from the San Francisco City Hall where they had the celebrations. You saw a mixture of people in their Giants outfits and a mixture of people in their Halloween costumes. It was kind of very San Francisco thing.
Very cool.
Did you get some pictures?
I got a few pictures, but I was mostly just going on a walk, exercise walk, and just taking it all in, because when people are excited and jumping up and down, you kind of feel the energy and catch the buzz.
Yeah. I'll tell you, that was a tight series, so congratulations to the Giants. That was really close.
3rd World Series in 5 years, which
amazing.
Is a record that goes back before 1900s.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a major deal, not only in town but for the history books as well.
All right, let's get into some news, and Jennifer will come back and have a chat with Fred very shortly.
Sounds good. And welcome to the Tech Webcast News. And in the news tonight, we have some news coming from actually TechCrunch.com, a story about the Apple Watch interface and what it would look like on an iPhone. So YouTuber Lucas Menge was inspired to exercise his imagination. He actually built a prototype of the Apple Watch UI as it would appear on an iPhone. So rather than having horizontal pages of static, equally spaced icons, the prototype shows an infinite multi-dimensional scroll throughout the apps and automatic centering and the ability to zoom in and out. He has this video that showcases the entire interface, and if you are interested, take a look either at TechCrunch or look up on YouTube and just look up Lucas Menge and skip over to the 44-second mark to actually see the prototype. Looks pretty cool. Also in the news, Spotify on the iPad has gone dark with an updated design. They updated the latest app, their app, to the latest version, and it has brought an updated design to the iPad. The design of the Spotify on the iPad now mirrors the updated looks of both the desktop and iPhone app. In addition to the new design, Spotify has also added the My Music section to the iPad. My Music shows you the music that you've saved in your collection in different groups. You can now view playlists, songs, albums, and artists. The Spotify update is rolling out in the App Store right now, so check it out. Also in the news, coming from bradsblog.org, Foxtel is shining the spotlight on 2015 Foxtel programming sets the standards for the best in Australian television. So, Foxtel Chief Executive Richard Freudenstein reflected on the past year, highlighting the massive achievements that have been taking place over the past 12 months, including the completion of the All-Star merger, improved content deals, new technology platforms, and the launch of Foxtel's new pricing and packaging, which is set to kick off in a matter of days. He also made mention of 2 key developments designed to enhance the customer experience, notably the upcoming launches of the iQ3 set-top box and the much-vaunted triple play service of TV, broadband, and home phone. Also in the news, Microsoft has a new fitness band, and they're aiming to create a robotic coach that Google's already secretly building. They released this new fitness band recently with an ambitious goal of creating a super smart wellness coach. On top of the normal sensors for tracking steps and sleep, Microsoft's health platform will crunch the data on activity to see how behaviors throughout the day impact a user's health. To quote someone here, on days when I have a lot of meetings, do I sleep a lot? On days when I eat breakfast, do I run faster or slower? How many calories did you burn from fat when you worked out versus the amount of carbs? Calories versus carbs. How many times did you wake up last night? Why? And this is what my Microsoft Vice President Youssef Mehdi asked, explaining the long-term goals of the company's health platform. So potentially this approach to health has the power to radically influence our behavior for the better. We may make thousands of tiny decisions every day that could be a big difference to our mental state, work performance, and physical health. Microsoft's challenge is to get as many users sharing their data as possible. Otherwise, it will only be able to detect behaviors that have a significant impact on behavioral outcomes. And in other news, Mozilla scores $470,000 and 24,000 orders from Matchstick Kickstarter. So if you had your sights on a streaming stick that relies on open hardware and software, or if you just like trying new things, the folks at Mozilla have an interesting proposition for you. It's called Matchstick, and the Kickstarter that accompanied the announcement last month has finally drawn to a close. The good news is that Mozilla has effectively sold 24,000 new streaming sticks, and the bad news is that now everyone gets to wait while Matchstick is actually being made and shipped. They had over 17,000 backers and 470,000 in funding, and it's hard to call Matchstick anything but a success for Mozilla. The company was hoping for $100,000 initially, and when that was shattered on the first day, the team responsible for this project made it clear to backers that there will be constant communication and feedback on the project. Mozilla seems genuinely interested in listening to what their users want and plans to ensure the features everyone wants to be made in the stick. And the final story, coming from MacRumors.com, Apple CEO has come out publicly as gay in a letter declaring support for equality. So in a letter written for Bloomberg Business Week, Apple CEO Tim Cook has publicly come out as gay. Excuse me, sorry. Cook, who has kept typically a low profile in his personal life, says that his decision to publicly acknowledge his sexuality was done to bring comfort to anyone who feels alone and to inspire people to insist on their equality. So to quote Tim Cook, he says, "I'll admit this wasn't an easy choice. Privacy remains important to me, and I like to hold onto a small amount of it. I've made Apple my life's work, and I will continue to spend virtually all of my waking time focused on being the best CEO I can be. That's what our employees deserve, and our customers, developers, shareholders, and supply partners deserve it too. Part of social progress is understanding that a person is not defined only by one's sexuality, race, or gender. I'm an engineer, I'm an uncle, a nature lover, fitness nut, the son of the South, a sports fanatic, and many other things. I hope that people will respect my desire to focus on the things I'm best suited for and that work brings me joy." And that's the news, Brad.
Great news, Jennifer. Great reading. That's good stuff. Thanks for doing
that. Yeah, good.
Good stuff.
Good choice on the stories.
Yes, good choice. Yes, I agree. Let's go to Belinda first. What's your opinion on them stories at all?
I thought the last story about Tim Cook coming out as gay was a very good thing for him to do, especially for the gay community and gay and lesbian community as well. And but I think the sexuality of a CEO of a company is irrelevant. It's what they can do, what their skills are.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I also thought the Microsoft Fitness thing sounded a bit like a robotic mother, because it's sort of keeping tabs on how you're feeling and that sort of thing, and whether you're keeping good care of yourself. So it's kind of sounded like a robotic mother to me.
Okay. What about the Foxtel stuff? When are you looking forward to on Monday for the new box set coming?
Yeah, I looked at the box thing. The only thing I'm disappointed in is there's no Breaking Bad.
Oh, that'll be coming soon. Don't worry about that. That's coming. Don't worry about that. That's coming.
Is it? Because I checked because they had a whole list of the shows they were going to have listed.
Well, if it's not there, it's coming. So don't worry. Don't. Yeah, it's coming.
Oh, that's good.
And hopefully the new IQ3 will be out very soon too. Hopefully.
Yeah, that sounds like it's going to be
I'm
good.
looking forward to that. I can't wait to get my hands on that. Let's go to we're going to Andrew. Let's go to Andrew. Get his opinion. Andrew.
Hey, Brad. How you doing?
Good, mate.
Yeah,
What's your
stories with
opinion?
Tim Cook's an interesting one coming out finally. I think it's been well known for a while that he's been gay.
Yeah.
But it's great that he's finally come out, and hopefully other people will do the same sort of thing as well. So, that's a really good thing in the Foxtel box sets. Really looking forward to that. I think they are becoming quite innovative, Foxtel, which is really positive for the space that they're in. They've been, I think, a bit old and a bit tired for a long time, so it's great to see. I know you've got a few really good contacts in there, Brad. It's great to see that they're really working hard to make sure they go into the future properly.
Yeah, definitely. So many good shows coming up next year on Foxtel. There's the new Porn Stars Australia that's coming.
Yeah, exactly. They're really looking.
A lot of good Australian shows coming up next year, and there's no excuse to get Foxtel on. There's get it on and cheap, and $25 a month or whatever it is, and it's pretty good value.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Where are you at the moment, Andrew? You look like you're having lunch, eh?
Yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. Yes, please.
Right.
Yeah, that's exactly what's doing. There's some lunch at the moment. So
okay.
We've got a pie place.
Oh, you got a pie place. Okay, nice. Have one for me, mate. Let's go to Jacob. What about you, mate? What's your view on them stories?
Well, I thought the Microsoft wristband. Yeah, I read it on the earlier story that they that they released it too early. Somebody got a close eye look at on Amazon before they even released it.
Okay. Any other views at Jacob on them stories, mate, at all? Any other opinions?
Well, the Spotify, I actually like it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it matches the computer, and it looks better than, put this way, looks better on the iPad than the PC.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it looks great on my new iPad Air too. I love it. Looks really, really nice.
And crisp.
I really recommend getting the iPad Air too, by the way, too, Andrew, if you've got spare cash laying around, mate. Let's go to Steve. What about you, mate?
Hey, it's me.
Hey, mate.
Actually, I'm interested in the Matchstick by Mozilla. I kind of wish they'd talk a little bit more about some of the features so we could kind of compare it to what Chromecast has and Microsoft's own version they're coming out with. Obviously, it's going to be more open for developers along those lines, and it's also actually kind of notable that a lot of the Chromecast applications can be ported over, some of which can do it without having to do any extra steps. They just can just port it over. Some may take a little extra time to do that, so that's going to be interesting.
Okay, cool. Anything else, Steve, at all?
Yeah, I think that's about it, really.
Okay, what about you, Fred? What's your view on them stories, mate?
Okay, well, let's see. I'll start with the Tim thing because everybody said something about that. And yeah, everybody has known here that he's gay for a long time. Coming out and saying that publicly is a courageous thing because at his level of, CEO of a Fortune 500 company, especially one of the world's most valuable brand and one of the world's most valuable companies, that breaks a certain glass ceiling. And, there's the LGBT community, as we say here in San Francisco. This is a group of people who have been oppressed for thousands of years, and prejudice is still alive and well in America. And I think that more statements like that by people that people already look up to and think about or whatever, that helps people realize that it's that it's not something wrong and forget what the Bible said, and it's just they're actually regular nice people. and just be judged on their merits. I do think Tim's a lousy CEO for Apple. I'm very proud of him for coming out about that. He's just not a visionary. He's no Steve Jobs. He's no Elon Musk. He's a supply chain guy, which meant we all got our, well, at least I didn't, but everybody get their iPhones when they wanted to. Guys at Motorola, they don't know as much, but Tim does a great job with supply chain stuff, and I just want Apple to get somebody like Steve. I mean, should have at least offered it to Ellen. Then on the next one, the Apple Watch interface. Before I comment on the Apple Watch interface, I'll just say I do not like the Apple Watch, and the interface is one of the reasons.
Did you say you don't like it, or you do like it?
I don't like it. No, I think it's either going in the shelf or being worn as jewelry.
Well, I think it's going to be great. I can't wait to try it out, and it's going to work really well with my iPhone and stuff. And I think it looks fantastic.
Well, yeah, if you have an iPhone, and if your iPhone is with your watch at all times,
yeah,
because the watch loses functionality when you take it away from your iPhone.
Yep.
So the Microsoft Band, let's just say Microsoft Band works with Android, works with iOS, of course, works with Windows. But Apple is like, oh yeah, we'll do our Apple Watch. It's only going to work with an iPhone. Oh, by the way, it only works when the iPhone's nearby. By the way, it has a horrible interface, and it's clunky and chunky. It's like I squashed one of those early iPad minis and put it on my wrist in this little boxy, clumpy thing. And now Cartier and all the other designers will come out with their, diamond encrusted and snakeskin version bands and whatever else for the Apple Watch. And I think that thing is just maybe as a small Apple accessory. I even think iPhone users will get tired of it. The change in the sensors and things that are coming out, like the Microsoft Band shows, like with a lot of sensors, and there's other things that are far ahead of either of those products. I want the best technology. I just don't want to, and Apple doesn't have a monopoly on the best technology because of their proprietary stuff. The Apple Watch will only work with a small set of applications done by Apple, and all the health geniuses, software programming geniuses in the world do not work at Apple. In fact, most of them don't work at Apple. So I think that thing is like a curiosity. It's going to tap your wrist a couple of times. Woo! And other than that, it's wretched. There's so many other smartwatches and health bands and sensors that are out there that will work with both platforms. I have iOS and I have Android. I want things to work together. People need to be platform agnostic, and Apple is pernicious about not allowing other people to use their stuff. It's like Google. Every Google app, Google creates Android. Every Google app runs on iOS. 0 Apple apps. Anyway, and then on to the last one, which I kind of touched on here, was the fitness band. Now, a lot of it's curious. I like it. It's interesting. Microsoft has a bad track record in hardware, other than the Xbox, but in this type of area. So it's going to be hard to see what sales channels or what partners they'll bring to the party or whatever, but I like the fact that it's multi-platform. It looks like the features are really cool. It's got the heart rate monitor and all of that good stuff in it. And I think it's certainly a very positive step in the right direction for Microsoft in terms of these wearables. And Apple talks about a Heathkit or a lot of Android apps or iPhone apps, to tell how long you've walked during the day or your activity. They can't measure accurately unless they're on you all day. And often my iPhone or my Motorola Moto X is sitting on the desk or whatever. So those things don't get counted. So I think it's got to be one of these wristbands or like Fitbit, a clip-on, or maybe something that is less obtrusive, that's more easily wearable. But something has to be on you all the time to give you that fitness coach, or I don't really think of it as a robot, but I think of like a fitness coach concept to help you improve yourself based on the data that's collected by the thing. So the more sensors, the more data, the more open, the better. And that's the only way to go. You can't do it with the phone because it's not with you all the time.
Okay. Is that it, Fred? Anything else you want to say?
Yep.
Is that it?
No, that's it.
Good stuff, mate. Good answers. And Jennifer, what about you? What's your view on these stories?
Well, about Tim Cook coming out, I think is fantastic that he did. You know, what someone's sexuality is, it really doesn't matter when it comes to business, or it comes to anyone. It's no one's business but his own.
Yep.
But you know, I think it's great that he did, and it's more power in that direction. So very good. And then, but you're right though. You know, as far as how he is as a CEO, you know what you said, Fred, that does make sense. So it's something that I really hadn't thought about too much. But and then regarding Spotify, I have not looked at the update yet. I do have an iPad, but I haven't even checked out that update yet, so I have to check that out.
You should get the iPad Air too, Jennifer.
Oh gosh, I would like to. I really, you know, I will see. Maybe one day I'll get it. And then regarding Mozilla's band, the Matchstick, for only $25, they're going to be selling this, right? And it's kind of a Chromecast competitor. And I love little media streaming gadgets like that, so I'm looking forward to this. Will I buy one? I really don't need one, but I wouldn't mind getting one to review and play around with it, just to kind of see how it compares to the Chromecast. So yeah.
Do you still use your Chromecast, Jennifer?
I use it a lot. I sure do.
Okay.
Yep.
I haven't used mine in ages. I don't usually use it that much.
Really?
I use it.
I use your Apple TV instead, right?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
I use that too, but gosh, I use them all. I really do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Anyone else got any opinions? Andrew, did I ask you? I think I did. Okay.
Hey, I can say one thing.
Go ahead, Jacob.
My Chromecast, I have it. I'm like you. I put mine in the drawer.
Well, mine's still plugged into my amp in the lounge room, but sometimes I put it on, but I don't know. I just rather the Apple TV.
I would like to try it just to see if it's any better.
Well,
the Chromecast.
I don't know. Have you used? Fred, you got one at all? A Chromecast?
Oh yeah, and I have a Roku, and I had an Apple TV, and I gave it away.
Okay.
And you know, Apple's whole proprietary business. And when you rent a movie on Apple TV, you can often find it less expensively on Amazon or Google Play.
That's true.
Yeah.
And so it's somebody needs to do a meta search of all of these things. So basically, it's Hollywood Wars. And Amazon has paid like $100 million plus to buy up the rights to certain movies and stuff like that. Netflix, hundreds of millions of dollars invested in the rights to buy up certain movies. Google Play and Apple. And so all these companies are fragmenting the market of movies that you can watch. And that's unfortunate. Amazon has a very good selection because Amazon is the only one that sells physical product. That will sell you the Blu-ray edition if you liked watching it. Nobody else has that instant upsell capability. So sometimes Amazon gets some special deals from other people because they also sell the physical product that they make more profit on. But, you know, Chromecast was great. It's the only thing I was using for a while. But then there was another thing that almost sounds like it, Comcast. So Comcast started this evil thing where they were throttling your line. You know, we usually get like incredible speeds, like 100 megabit downloads and 40 megabit uploads and whatever. And we're still getting that speed, but the Chromecast is choking and sputtering. And you know, that's just because Comcast has seen there's a Chromecast there and decided that they would throttle anything to a competitor. And they were doing that to everybody. Netflix just settled with Comcast to basically pay them to not throttle the stuff that's on Netflix. Because Comcast wants you to watch NBC Universal programming on the Comcast cable box.
Oh, jeez.
Talk about the unhealthy effects of media consolidation. Oh. So, you know, so they basically, because they're a cable company and a movie studio and a TV with Universal and NBC and whatever, you know, they have a real kind of advantage. I don't want to say unfair, but maybe. But anyway, they have an advantage because cable is almost monopolistic in this country. And so, like, people can only get it from one or two providers. Sometimes only one provider provides it. It's why bandwidth and stuff is slower and more expensive in the U.S. than most other places in the world. So this whole throttling thing is completely, like, politically motivated. It's like, you know, Hulu doesn't control net traffic. Netflix doesn't control net traffic, whatever, because they're not an internet service provider. You're not getting your bandwidth from them. But Comcast purposely goes out and in a very anti-competitive way takes Hulu and Chromecast especially. I noticed they were really picking on Chromecast. I don't know why. So lately I've been using the Roku.
Okay.
To get to those things that you can't get to. You can't quite get to Google Play. So if it's on Google Play, I'll plug the Chromecast back in. But, Roku has a lot of the good stuff that you want.
Have you got?
I love my Roku.
Have you got cable TV, Fred? Have you got cable TV?
Oh, yeah, of course I've got cable. I'm a TV nut. My parents made the mistake of putting a TV in my room when I was a little kid, and I called it the electronic babysitter. So I grew up on TV. So I actually want to do some stuff in TV. So to me, every time I'm watching, I'm also studying what's going on.
Man.
But that Mozilla Stick is interesting. And the problem with that is getting a lot of support behind it. If they can run the Chromecast apps, that's a nice advantage. So I hope it works out. But all of these things are going to kill the cable box. I mean, now that I can get the network shows off of Hulu whatever, then all movies off of Netflix, or if they're current releases off of Amazon or Google Play or Apple, there's really less and less need to have a cable box. And I think that's something that has cable providers scared, whatless. Because they're going to fight back. Plus, everybody else is going to be upset because Comcast has been so heavy-handed with them that there'll be a little bit of a backlash towards Comcast and maybe even carrying NBC programming.
Okay. Interesting. Now, Belinda, what about you? Foxtel next year going to be doing phone and broadband. Are you going to be signing up to that at all?
Yeah, it sounds very interesting. It could be a game changer for Foxtel.
Okay.
They haven't done that before, so.
What's your view on that? Are you going to get it, or how much it will cost?
Depends how much extra it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just going to say on the streaming, do you think that it's going to take over from television, and television will sort of become obsolete, or do you think it'll still exist alongside streaming?
Well, okay, so if you don't mind me jumping in here, so because I think about this a lot, there are a lot of people who are either poor or are not technically adept, and they need something that is curated for them, put together in a package that they can just sign on to. Or even with the poor people, just stick an antenna up and get the, here in the U.S. anyway, digital HD programming, as well as some of the other programming that's just freely available over the public airwaves. So for a lot of people, that is low. But for the typical cable box owner, I think they are going to wind up going to one of these alternative, IPTV, I like to call them, solutions, because why watch something on a schedule when you could just watch it whenever you want?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to have to build my life around TV.
That's what,
and I'm sad to say that when I was a kid, I built certain evenings around TV. Star Trek's on tonight. We can't go. It was crazy.
You can't leave the house.
This is freedom.
Yeah.
This is freedom.
Yeah.
So I really think that streaming is the future, and it's going to offer, instead of like going from 100 channels to 500 channels, it's going to be like going from 100 channels to 5 million channels.
Yeah, that's what Foxtel does at the moment over here in Australia. They have an app called Foxtel Go, and you can actually watch it on your iPad or on the computer or whatever, and you can just catch up on shows and that sort of thing, and it comes in pretty handy. Do you use that at all, Belinda, at all?
Yeah, I use that, the streaming, especially the on-demand things. If I miss a show,
yep.
Usually they replay stuff later on in the night. So
yeah,
you miss it if you miss it when it's live, you'll eventually see it again.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Andrew, what's your view on all this, mate? The TV stuff, that sort of thing. Just real quick.
He's out.
Oh, he's gone, has he? Okay. All right, Jake, what about you, mate? What's your view on the streaming TV? Do you stream much TV stuff at all? You probably do. Yeah,
well, yeah, my Apple TV.
Yeah, and your TiVo.
Yep, I watch a lot of Power Rangers.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
I was born on Power Rangers when the very first series came out.
Okay. All right. Well, we've got Fred Davis on today as a guest, Jacob Jones. Welcome, Fred.
Hey, glad to be here, Brad.
Good to have you on, mate. Tell us about what you do.
So I help startups startup.
Okay.
And I have a keen interest in journalism because for much of my life I was a journalist. I was back in the 80s and 90s. I was editor of a variety of magazines for a company called Ziff Davis. I am not the Davis, just by the way. But I was A Plus Magazine, which was the first Apple magazine, and I came up with the idea for Macworld and was editor for a day, and then Steve Jobs was pissed at me that day, so I ended up going over to Mac User and was editor of that, and then went to PC Magazine, and then to PC Week during that period of time. So that was a long stretch. And when I was at PC Magazine, they took in $250 million a year in revenue just on that one magazine.
Damn.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
But those were the days. But the company that I worked for, Bill Ziff, was like an incredibly brilliant guy and an incredibly ethical guy. He did not want anybody. A lot of people would, if a computer company advertised heavily in your computer magazine, then the computer magazine might write something more favorable to that advertiser, and that was happening all the time, except in any of our magazines, because that was like just not it. During that period of time, I wrote a dozen books, the best seller of which was the original Windows Bible. The one I'm proudest of is the first book on desktop publishing, which was I coined the term for desktop publishing and had the first or maybe the second, because my friend Tony likes to say his was the first. But however you measure it, it was probably the first. Anyway, I got a nice journalism award on that book. And it really did kind of lay out the whole future of desktop publishing, and that was pretty exciting. At the end of the magazine days, I did one more magazine to like as a goodbye to the magazine industry, which was Wired magazine, and it was like we were all tired about writing about 47 printers or whatever, and so Wired was the first chance that we had to write about how technology was impacting society, and that's a lot more interesting to me, So there were a lot of great writers that I knew. I had Douglas Adams, who, the Hitchhiker's Guide, writing for me at Mac User. I mean, I knew Doug. He was a great guy. He died too young in his 40s, but a super guy. Loved his writing, and he wrote for my magazine. What can I say? That was so awesome. But in Wired, we had a lot of potential to get great writers because they felt bottled up too. There was no forum for there to be able to express these important things. Computers were changing society on an anthropological level. It was changing our culture faster than it had ever been changed before, and the continuation of that started in the 80s, that's now up into the 2014, has been an amazing, accelerating, bizarre. I mean, the first iPhone was only 7 years ago. If you think about it, it's just been accelerating so fast. It's really good. So
I used to subscribe to those magazines too. So I'm just a huge fan here because I used to read this stuff, right? And so wow. It's just interesting to see the migration though of how everything back then was print and now it's, where are these magazines? Is Wired still making a print publication or are they all online now?
Wired is tired. I'm sorry to say. It's the unwired world. It's the wireless world.
Yeah, that's true.
World of wireless.
You're right.
But anyway, all I wanted to say is it was a fun thing at the time. I helped them at their very, very earliest stages. I wrote their business plan and their media kit. I hired their first employee. I got their first money in, which really helped them off. And then they screwed up in their whole financial things. I didn't get what I was supposed to out of it. But it was something I was proud of doing because it made a difference. But right now, all of the focus of attention for content has gone on to the web. And on the web, I've been writing, a lot on Facebook, which I found to be the most the social network with the most engagement. I get way more business contacts on Facebook than I do on LinkedIn. It's crazy. Same on Twitter. It's just I've tested them all, and the engagement on Facebook, they've reached some kind of global critical mass. I don't know what it is, but I'll get 60 comments on a post versus 2 or none on the other networks. So, but anyway, so on Facebook, I've been talking a lot about the death of journalism, and people don't want to pay for actually having real journalism. And in fact, there's idiots like the guy who started PayPal, who just put this money into a huge, news entity thing. And just the other day he said, we don't know what we're doing. Maybe we'll create a bunch of labs and try to figure it out. I mean, it's just ridiculous. The New York Times, which was a stalwart of real journalism, is now presenting paid content on the front page of their site. Paid content is not real content, it's commercial content. It's like an ad disguised as content. And for a journalist, that's offensive. I mean, and that the New York Times would stoop to that shows the desperation. Unfortunately, people don't want to pay for the truth anymore. You know?
That's a shame. That is a shame. No, I didn't even realize that they had paid content on the front page of the site there. That's disheartening.
It's dismaying. It's really dismaying, and people don't value journalism. I mean, think of all the great things we found out about through journalism, investigative journalism, stuff that's really added to the richness of our culture or to our understanding of our government or ourselves. And journalists have a standard where you got to source. If somebody tells you something, you have to source it 3 times before you print it, or put it on your website or whatever. You have to have strict guidelines. You can't have any interest in the thing. You can't own any stock. Ziff employees back in the day, we weren't allowed to own any stock in any tech companies. But that same kind of a thing, you have to have this journalistic ethical standard, and you have to get to the point where people actually appreciate the value of that. And unfortunately, right now, they don't.
So why do you think that it's not out there, that we're not seeing that much of that anymore? Is it mainly that they either don't appreciate it, or that they're getting more money for putting paid content up there, and they can get by with paying other people less as well?
As happens with every major sea change in any industry or disintermediation, it's like when iTunes disintermediated the record stores and suddenly Tower Records was gone, or whatever, that these disruptive disintermediations can really have an effect on that. So, I think they got into the middle of one of these, and are now having to deal with the results of it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Steve, any questions at all for Fred?
Well, actually, I was going to mention that as well, but there were Jennifer and Fred were talking about it, where a lot of these printed magazines, are kind of going away. It's either all digital by mobile app or online. Most recently, I think, was Macworld got rid of their printed magazine, and it's all digital and all that. And I know. And that,
yeah. Sorry, keep it. I'll after you talk. Sorry.
And then also with, I believe it was. Well, this is a newspaper, but I believe in Chicago. I don't know if it's Chicago Tribune or something like that, Wall Street or New York or something. They got rid of all their professional photographers, and they just gave the reporters, smartphones to take pictures with, to put it in their newspaper. And I was like, wow. Of course, printed publications are having trouble with the the invention of the internet, putting news stories online. It makes it much harder for them.
Yeah, well, and again, people aren't, to me, the death of journalism on TV is when Walter Cronkite, whom many of you may not remember, signed off the air. He was the most trusted man in America. He told you like it was, and he was honest, and he wasn't influenced by any outside commercial influence. And right now, we're at a state where the commercial interests drive the content, to the point where the content can't really be objective because they're so dependent on the income sources they will basically, even without knowing it, self-censor themselves so that they put out a message that's more compatible. Now, everything's digital, so all these publications have had to go digital. They didn't understand digital. Macworld and all those guys should have got ahead of digital, which is what I do. When Bill Ziff sold Ziff Davis back in the 90s, he was my mentor, and I knew it wasn't going to be the same company without him, so I immediately quit. And the thing that I did was go rip the idea off that Ziff had taught me about how you could pick a special interest and then sell a lot of advertising against that special interest. So I helped start CNET. And the whole idea with CNET, as I used to describe it, and this was in 1995 when a lot of people didn't believe in the internet, I said, look, to the publishing industry, I said, look, you print one copy on your server. Everybody comes over to your place to read it. So goodbye printing, goodbye distribution, goodbye newsstands, goodbye returns, goodbye all those expensive, goodbye 5 million subscription renewal cards every week. Goodbye. And then you're just left with the profit of, hey, let's pay some people to review a lot of products. We'll start a labs. We'll, I just basically hired all my buddies from Ziff Davis, both on the ad side and on the editorial side, because I knew that the print publications were dead and that I might as well get them over to CNET early on, which many of them have thanked me for because they wound up, getting rich on that.
Wow.
But
called it.
But yeah, CNET. Well, it was they actually started as a 24-hour TV station. So there's that. The other thing I wanted to say is, and also to get anybody out there who wants to find help, is the main thing that I do is help startups start up. And so I'm really interested in finding out about new startups. If there are companies out there that need help, there's the entrepreneurs often don't know their way through the venture capital rapids and so forth. So I'd really like to help out with that. One of the companies I'm really excited about right now is Nameplace, and they're basically the only marketplace for the buying and selling of naming rights and sponsorships for municipalities here in the U.S. So basically every town and city here is broke because, look at Detroit. They're basically closing down parts of the town. Nameplace gives those municipalities a way to raise new money from assets they didn't even know they had, like sponsorship things or naming of a park or something like that. So,
that's fantastic. So
I've really been working with in terms of helping organize the team, formulating the team, helping with the incorporation, orient and target their message and things like that. So I've seen I've started two different billion-dollar companies on my kitchen table, CNET and Ask Jeeves. And so I know my way around this stuff, and I really want to help entrepreneurs who may not know this. Most entrepreneurs are experts in their domain experts, I like to call them, but they're not business people, or they're not fundraisers, they're not whatever. So if there's anybody out there, like I said, I love working with Nameplace. I'm working with a couple of other companies. Musicians Guild is another one that's really great, that has a whole software suite for working musicians to help them keep track of their gigs and the venues that they're booking into and all of those things, because musicians are so starving, that anything that we can do to help them. And I'm a musician, so it's kind of a soft spot. But, there are a lot of companies out there that are getting taken advantage of. And what I like to say is, predators know how to find their prey. Don't be prey. Come on over here and let me help you guide you through the waters so that you won't wind up getting clutched up by a hawk and flown off to their nest.
Yes.
What's your view on Spotify? Fred, do you use Spotify? What sort of music service do you use?
Oh, I love Spotify to death for personal listening of music. It is fantastic. Lisa and I both have it. I love it. Love it. Except for sharing music.
Oh, yeah, I love it too.
Sucks the hairy wazoo. It is a really, really bad platform for sharing. Because I found out when I was excitedly sharing songs I loved. I'm a musician. I get totally passionate about certain songs. I'm sorry. Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah and the many interpretations that have been done. There's just so many songs I can't even talk about it. Yeah. The new stuff, I just can't even talk about it. But anyway, so I like to share that with people as a kind of curator of great music. Can't do that on Spotify because it brings you back to Spotify where you cannot play the song unless you belong to Spotify. So what I do is I find the song on Spotify, I listen to it on Spotify, I say, yeah, this is cool. Then I go find it on YouTube. And then I share it with YouTube.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
YouTube pays for all of the uploads that are musical. So I tell everybody, upload their stuff to YouTube, and then everybody shares it. Right now, YouTube is the #1 source for teenagers sharing music and discovering music. Yep. They don't go to Spotify or any of these things. They go to YouTube to find new music. And
isn't that something?
And I really don't think that the world has paid attention to what YouTube is doing on that front. When people started uploading music to YouTube, they got all these takedown notices. Hey, you're blah, 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 and we're copyrighted, blah, blah, blah. So YouTube said, well, wait a minute. We're making more money from our users. We can just pay these guys what a radio station would pay them, and then we can play all the stuff that we want. And so they're only one of these services who's really optimized themselves for sharing. So like a lot of people on YouTube are doing cover songs. You know, they're doing their own version of a different song. They don't have to pay out royalties. YouTube takes care of it for them. And YouTube has enough profits that it can do that. So you know, I love Spotify. They have a fabulous library. They have great software. I love iPad update. Yeah. Literally use it every day.
Yeah, I love it.
Times every day. But when I want to share stuff, that's my real disappointment with Spotify, is that you can't really share from the system. So I end up having to go through this kludgy thing of looking up the song on YouTube, listening to which one is the cleanest upload and sounds the best, and that's the one I end up sharing with my friends.
Definitely. Now, what about you, Jennifer? You use Spotify a fair bit. Do you get much enjoyment out of it? Like, you come across really good bands and stuff, don't you?
I use it every day. Yeah, I use it every day, and exactly, I find new music on there. I use it for music discovery. When it comes to sharing, it is a tedious process, I agree. And even if I share it with existing Spotify users, people don't go look in their little messages folder to see that, hey, such and such shared a song with you. And, you know, so that part isn't all that great. But I love it for music discovery. I've learned about so many cool new bands and artists, and it's just, you know, wonderful music, and I love it so much.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, definitely agreed too. What about you, Belinda? Do you use Spotify, or what do you use for your music search?
You know, I use Spotify. It's good to listen to music, but as the other guys said, it's very hard to share the songs.
It is. Unless you give Spotify, you can share it on Facebook and stuff. I share it on Twitter and that sort of thing.
Yeah, it works on Twitter. Yeah,
as well, and that sort of thing. And do you pay for it, Belinda, or do you add the free version?
I just use the free one. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Fair enough. What about you, Steve?
I was just going to say with the YouTube thing, I like watching new artists on there that are up and coming and doing covers and that sort of thing is really good. There was this guy that was he did his songs on YouTube first. Then he went on to X Factor, and then he didn't make it to the live shows, but now he's got a recording contract with Sony and he's got a song out. So.
Is he from Australia?
Yeah, James Johnston.
Oh, yeah, I know him. Yep.
Yeah, YouTube has led to a bunch of music contracts and interest in players. And you can't say that about Spotify. It's not an open music platform. You think of YouTube as an open video platform, but really it's the best open music platform.
Yeah, definitely.
In addition to video.
Yeah, definitely. Sure. What about you, Steve? What's your view on all this? Do you have an opinion on this, mate?
As far as myself, I don't listen to music as much anymore, but occasionally I listen to it iTunes Radio.
I don't mind iTunes Radio.
A lot of times I'll go on YouTube to look at some music videos or something. Don't really listen like Spotify, some of the other ones. I might try them out though.
Give it a go, man. Try to see the thing. I really love the guest hosts on iTunes Radio. There's some really good guest hosts on there. They pick the favorite music stuff. That's pretty cool.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't tried out some of the talk shows, but that'd be interesting. I think they do.
Yeah, check it out. Some of the really good co-hosts, they get on there and they choose their music and that. That's really, really good.
Curation. The web is going to be all about curation.
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Jacob?
I like it very much.
You're a Spotify user, right?
I'm a Spotify addict.
There you are. You buy CDs and stuff.
Well, because I have the down data cap.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Yeah,
there you go, Jacob.
No, it's just before long, I'll have when they upgrade me completely, then I won't have to worry about anything.
Yeah, definitely. Now, Fred, anything else you want to say before we wrap up, mate? Where can they get hold of you and that sort of thing? And they want to ask you more questions.
Well, I made out the great pitch for the startups.
Okay.
And the tip on YouTube is really a good tip in terms of finding music, and the parody music you can find on YouTube will leave you just on the floor laughing. There's some really, really funny things out there.
Yeah.
Bad lip reading and some parody stuff. But anyway, what I want to do is finish up with what I've been spending my week doing, which is trying to buy a freaking Nexus 6. Come on, really? Google, what is your problem?
Wow. They're a nice phone. What's your view on the new Note? Samsung, the new one. Is it Note 5, whatever it is? Note 4?
Oh, this is funny. So Samsung is now coming up with some down market phones that cost less that actually look a lot like the iPhone 5.
Yeah.
It's very, very funny. They've chosen the stylistic design of the iPhone 5 and trying to compete in that market at a lower price, which is an interesting thing, because all the carriers are still pumping the iPhone 5 as the lower cost version of the iPhone. So that's an interesting thing. I mean, Samsung's a major player. Galaxy is one of the top phones. The Note 4, I was really thinking hard on the Note 4 before I researched more about the Nexus 6. So, and the Galaxy S5 is probably one of the highest tech phones that's out there. So Samsung's a force to be reckoned with, and it's very interesting that they've kind of copied the design of the old iPhone and are trying to sell that back into the Android market. To me, I think it's going to be a niche product, but there's some kind of hilarity and interesting aspect of that. I'd be very curious to see how it goes.
Okay. Are you on Twitter, Fred, at all?
Excuse me?
On Twitter.
Oh, I sure I'm on Twitter, but Twitter is useless.
Okay.
So what it is facebook.com/Fred Davis.
Okay. All right, people.
Fred Davis. On that. Yeah. So that's the best place to follow my stuff and see my posts.
Okay.
It's just facebook.com/Fred Davis.
All right, good stuff. You can get me on Twitter. Brad Olsen, a tech webcast. Jacob. So let's go to Belinda next. Belinda, what about you?
You can get me at BDemi, that's BDEMY, and that's on Twitter. And just Belinda Demigaro on Facebook. My surname's really hard to spell. It's DEMY-GEROE.
All right, good stuff, Belinda, good stuff. Looking forward to Monday for the new Foxtel stuff?
Yeah, it should be good.
What are you looking forward to? What's the best thing you're looking for?
Probably the box sets.
Yeah, more HD channels as well.
Yeah, and the extra sports channels as well.
Yeah, definitely. Let's go to Jennifer. What about you? What's your final view on the show? When we can get hold of you?
A fantastic show, Fred. It's been super speaking with you. And Belinda, nice to talk with you again, as always. I love having you on the show. You're wonderful.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome. And people can find me at jenniferruggiero.com or getnerdywithit.com.
Good stuff. Jennifer, how's your podcast going?
Going fine. I took a break for the past couple of weeks due to a busy, hectic schedule with work.
Okay.
And I'm starting back up next week. So
wait, who's going to be on? Any guests coming up? Or?
Still working on that, so we will see. Cool. Still ironing it out. Yeah.
Good stuff. Now, Fred, do you still use your Google Glass at all, mate?
The interesting thing, Google Glass is the most misunderstood product on the planet. So I was wearing it for about 9 months, every day, 24/7 by 365. And then there became this social backlash because people had this mistaken idea that you could secretly video people when you were wearing glass, which you can't. It lights up. But with your cell phone, you can secretly video people all day long. In fact, you could place your cell phone on the floor and take those upskirting awful pictures. But with glass, you can't do that. But the social pressure against wearing it, especially here in San Francisco, just got to the point where, people were like yelling at you on the street and stuff like that. And I go, And there's problems with it. It's buggy and it needs a new version. The battery doesn't last as long. It's kind of like they sold you a prototype.
Right.
So I'm really interested in seeing what the real version of this product, the one that sells for $500 or $600, which they keep telling me about, and it'll be smaller and better and whatever. But all I can say is everything that the Apple Watch tries to do, Google Glass does brilliantly. Just brilliantly. It's an amazing product in terms of its concept. It needs a lot of work in terms of becoming a finished product, but the stuff that's going on in there and the thought that's gone on to there and the usefulness, I always tell people I believe lives will be saved because of Google Glass and products like it.
Mm-hmm. And what about Lisa? What's Lisa been up to, Fred? We haven't spoken to Lisa.
I don't know. She's right. She's working on Nameplace, and I've been out, helping her out with that. So
stuff.
She's been focused on her startup, and that's an exciting one. I think it has some real potential, and we've been just riding out the Giants' craziness here in San Francisco. Earlier mentioned that one of the people on the podcast was out, and I was thinking the last time somebody said he's out here in San Francisco, there was a giant cheer, roar from next door.
Yeah. What's your view on Andrew's startup, Fred, just before we go, with Zafo and stuff? Have you checked out his product at all? Zafo Rewind.
No, I haven't checked that. I haven't seen that.
You have a look at it and see what you can think of it, because he's put out a new app called Rewind.
Rewind?
Yeah, an app called Rewind, yeah. RWND. Yeah. Have a look at it and yeah. Let's go to Steve. What about you, mate? What's your final view of the show, and where can we get hold of you, mate?
I really enjoyed the show with Fred Davis telling us about some of the publications and, of course, music and YouTube. Very interesting.
Yeah.
And you
Definitely,
can find
mate.
me as Chatterbox_live on Twitter.
Okay. Good stuff. And big thank you to Fred. Thank you for being on, Fred. Appreciate your time, mate.
Oh, hey, happy to do it. Nice to talk to all of you guys.
Yeah, definitely.
And girls.
Yep, definitely. Come back on any time, Fred, if you want to come on and have another chat with us, mate.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
And, yeah. All right, let's go to Jacob Jones. What do you want to say, Jacob, before we go, mate?
Oh.
I would probably like to say, follow me at Jasper3669. Onesie.
All right, Jacob. The chipmunks have joined us. I thought, is that Alvin? I can't even make it out, Jacob.
Can't even hear him.
It's supposed to be a female pixie.
You sound like Alvin.
Yeah,
though.
yeah, he does.
Yeah.
It's because they have the pitch and the strength too high. That's why it sounds so squeaky.
Okay.
All right.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, Jacob. Enjoy, mate.
Enjoy
Tech Webcast. The hosts and guests are unsurpassed. Tech Webcast. Cause technology, it moves so fast. Tech Webcast. Ha, stick around and you're gonna have a blast. Yeah. Tech Webcast. Ha, ha. Tech Webcast. Big ups to Andrew, to Brad, Jody, Steve, and Jennifer. Boom!